And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Sans the Skeleton, who asked the question, or Sans the Skeleton, who would win in a fight between Lobo, the main man, or the cartoon cat, who I have no idea how that thing sounds. Look, I've done Lobo plenty of times here. He is a, oh God, I always forget, Zarnian? Is that what Lobo's species is/was? Let me see here. Well, Lobo, I want to say it's Zarnian. Yeah, Zarnian, but it's like a silent C at the beginning. He is the main man, is Zarnian bounty hunter, basically the last of his kind. Although recently there has been a daughter he has sired, introduced. He's an intergalactic bounty hunter. He doesn't give two F's about what he does or who he does it to, as long as he gets paid and does his job and has a good time. In terms of power, though, he's no joke. We know Lobo is extremely powerful. And his strongest interpretations, he's someone who can go toe-to-toe with Superman. He's not stronger than Superman, but he can go toe-to-toe with Superman. Strength-wise, durability-wise, this is a guy who's eaten an entire city, dragged a living star around, durable enough to just walk through a lantern's force field, take massive amounts of gunfire. He's famous for having one of the most hacked regenerative capabilities there is in in comics. Literally capable of regenerating from a drop of blood. In fact, technically speaking, you can literally spill his blood, and more Lobos will grow out from that. He's also insanely intelligent, knowing I think it's like over 37 or 38,000 languages or something like that, or 18,000. It's an absurd number. He can make weapons on the fly. He can quickly deduce an opponent's weaknesses. He's even survived being annihilated, having his body destroyed, but his soul wander, and then find out like a slug and grow out of the slug, because heaven and hell won't take him. He's a master marksman, master combatant, and an all-around ornery son of a bitch. The cartoon cat. Okay, so the cartoon cat, and I've only done the cartoon cat maybe like one other time, was created by Trevor Henderson. It's similar to is a hostile and infamous cryptid created by Trevor Henderson. Is one of the main three most popular creatures of Henderson, alongside Longhorse and Siren Head. Its appearance describes basically being a pitch black, jet black skinned, rather tall, slender, and malleable humanoid entity with a feline head, usually somewhere in like the 7 to 8 foot range, but it can be taller. A very slender, behavior-wise, it's apparently a very malevolent cosmic parasite, one that is hollow and hungry for vicious violence, committing atrocities that remain, as of now, undisclosed. One that has been stated numerous times to the fetid, rotten, dripping, and really ancient, and most importantly of all, having ill and evil intentions. It's disguised the cartoon cat's disguises as an outdated old rubber hose style cartoon mascot in an unorthodox way. It seems to provoke a sense of familiarity and safety within the minds of its victims, where that's all a ruse. This thing is basically a very so this thing is not a tulupa or tulpa, which is basically a thought being. Being composed of a being manifested by mass thoughts believing in the being, which apparently is what Siren Head is supposed to be like. Trevor has stated that as long as people have a belief in its existence in a certain capacity, Cartoon Cat is able to manifest through some sort of dimensional gateway from its dimension to ours. Stated to have been filtered through our old media, implying that Cartoon Cat manifests in devices such as televisions or any medium used to display audio-visual diffusions, possibly within a sort of cartoon animation, hence the name. This thing's abilities are pretty all over the place. It is capable. It's rubber hose animation type body, means it's virtually immortal and hard to hurt, let alone injured or kill. It has like cartoon physics, information manipulation, which is implied. A lot of its abilities are actually implied. Metaphysical manipulation, shape and size shifting, reality warping, eldritch physiology, sound manipulation implied, immersion, dimensional travel, and disguise. This extends to the fact that it's likely the strongest entity in the whole verse. It could be a metaphysical entity, an immortal one, perhaps having enigmatic abilities that are able to prove it as the victor, even in a hypothetical collective battle with all the Henderson creatures in it. This even includes the metaphysical deities like the Lamb, moral entities like the Fencer and Cold Clay, including ones described as unfathomable like Sirenhead, or even timeless and powerful like the ones like Longhorse and the Upside Down Faced Man. This is further backed up by the fact that Cartoon Cat may be an extra-dimensional entity. So I mean, this thing has got the power of like a god beyond gods, and allegedly is the strongest being in its verse. But is it strong enough to actually take on Lobo of all things? I mean, Lobo is like Superman-like type level of strength in many regards. Lobo is Lobo can take on individuals who are very wacky and obscure. So, I mean, to ask the question who will win in the fight, we would just really have, first off, let's just say that he's been hired to hunt the Cartoon Cat and finds the Cartoon Cat. Immediately, we have to ask ourselves the question, is the Cartoon Cat capable of doing anything to actually affect, injure, or theoretically kill, physically anyway, Lobo? He has a wide range of supernatural abilities and seems to be malleable, having rubber hose style physiology. Another ability he has is the ability to wipe information. This may be a page of immersion, but that doesn't really matter here. The problem is that a lot of his actual abilities, I can only go over of some of it, like Eldritch Physiology, Sound Manipulation, allegedly, Immersion. Like, the only abilities listed on here that could even theoretically do anything to Lobo are reality warping and metaphysical abilities. But that's all implied, including the metaphysical abilities. The reality warping is not implied. It does have the ability to basically do that, except to what degree? Would it be like if Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet, the Cartoon Cat would just be immune to it? I don't know. Cartoon Cat's abilities are just not very well defined. That's the problem with these fan-made beings, that if you don't update these things very much, they're hard to do in verses, because they only have so many things to go off of. I'm like, if you go to like say the Monster Wiki, for example, it's stated that he's high intelligence, cutting, super high speed, super strength, great eyesight and hearing, shape-shifting, teleportation, telepathy, and immortality. It doesn't list any of the other stuff, but it does list some weaknesses. Cartoon Cat is seemingly undefeatable. I hate words, God, especially when I'm trying to read. Is here. Yeah. It's seemingly undefeatable, immortal, and impervious to damage. There are no canon weaknesses for the entity. However, we can still theorize plausible ways to defeat it, though there are few. If the creature is held in existence by the Tulupa effect, which is most likely, then you can research the history abilities of cartoons to use against Cartoon Cat. But this presents its own set of problems. These types of cartoons are functionally immortal and are so for a reason. They are targeted at the very young ages, and are meant to be funny. And this seemingly goes double for Cartoon Cats, like Tom and Jerry. Now we emphasize CC's immunity to damage, Cartoon Cat's immunity to damage. However, if you're trying to escape Cartoon Cat, you can take a different strategy. We've all heard of creepypastas and monsters in general created and hyped up as undefeatable, but Cartoon Cat is different. If you've ever seen the YouTube videos of fictional characters fighting from movies and TV shows, only with health bars, then imagine the likes of, say, zombies, Bigfoot, and Siren Head with health bars. Imagine the zombies have the lowest for obvious means. Siren Head has the highest for being a large creature. Ghosts don't have health bars because they're already expired, but there are rules of how to remove them from your world. Cartoon Cat, however, isn't a ghost and is pretty much all-powerful. When you think about it, everything abides by special sets of rules. Let's say, for example, logic itself is a rule, in which case living beings can be injured and killed in various ways. There are cartoon physics, like scripting. There are rules created. My guess is they're trying to say here is that Cartoon Cat, it doesn't apply by rules or logic. So in the end, you can't combine one set of rules and logic with another. Cartoon physics says they work completely different from another. Like a computer script, rules only work exactly as instructed unless told otherwise by the creator. Look, This literally sounds like someone wanted to create the ultimate embodiment of something that can't die, which means for versus, this is not a character that's good for versus fights. There was another character a while, but anything with Toon. In fact, this is Toon Force right out the yin yang. Anything with Toon Force is terrible for a versus fight. I just want to lay it out right now. So if anyone ever suggests that, just know I'll do it. I'm not going to be happy that I do it though, because it doesn't make for an interesting confrontation. It doesn't make for an interesting fight because 99 times out of 100, most times the Toon Force character is going to win. With that said, however, there are, as they kind of put in there are avenues around certain things. For example, Lobo fought the Mask, being with Mask and Toon Force. They fought basically to a draw, even to the point where Lobo was losing, until he made a guilt bomb, or was it a blame bomb? I can't remember. A guilt bomb, I think. And made him feel all the guilt of everything he did and took off the mask. Lobo was smart enough to probably figure something out in that avenue to deal with the cartoon cat. Because apparently the knowledge of the cartoon cat is what keeps it coming back. The cat came back the very next day. So, in theory, if Lobo could just talk to someone about wiping the knowledge of Cartoon Cat from everyone's memories, including the person who did it, then, yeah, he most likely, you would defeat him. But that would take a lot of extra work on Lobo's part, which he might be willing to do, admittedly. But we're talking about just a pure physical confrontation. There actually isn't a lot from everything I can hear that Cartoon Cat can do against Lobo, because it's just not what the Cartoon Cat is actually capable of doing is just not freaking fully available, which again makes this a very not fun character to do. And I know I'm going to get, why did you do it if you didn't know? It's like, first time I did know about Cartoon Cat, and I have done him before. But going more in depth, it's like, this is just not a good character for versus. And I'm not judging the skeleton. Hear me out, buddy. I'm not judging you for doing the fight. For suggesting the fight. Not at all. But characters like this aren't good for fights. I'm just saying. That said, like I said, because his powers are so ill-defined, he might try to break Lobo, strangle Lobo, do something with reality warping, whatever it might be, and Lobo would just be like, yeah, no, boom! Now, the Cartoon Cat probably wouldn't be taking much, if any, damage for a while, but you are talking about a guy who could literally crack a planet if he needed to, or eat a city. Just condense it down into a ball, lift it up with no problem, and just eat it. So, I can't say one way or the other who would really win. This is kind of a wash. I will lean towards Lobo because of the ill-defined power set of Cartoon Cat versus the clear-defined power set of Lobo, and the fact that Lobo is smart enough to probably figure out means of at least containing this thing. And should note that Cartoon Cat is still part of his universe. There are no beings. There are like beings in other universes like DC that probably really supersede him, like by a large margin. In fact, just calling him an interdimensional being is like nothing in a DC or Marvel canon. Like, there are plenty of interdimensional beings that are far weaker than the top tier of those universes. There are multiversal beings that could probably eat him for lunch. Sadly, Lobo isn't one of those individuals, but Lobo is still being powerful enough to probably figure out ways to contain the Cartoon Cat, either by some sort of mechanism that stops his Toon Force from temporarily working temporarily, or abiding by the rules that Cartoon Cat seems to abide by and tricking him into do something else. I couldn't give you an exact scenario here because it's such an out there character. But I would probably say Lobo would win, and it really just comes down to the fact that from the list of powers he has, not very well defined, Cartoon Cat really can't do much to permanently put Lobo down, because Lobo's regeneration is like that. It's that level. So I guess I'll go Lobo, but look, this is one where I don't really care if I'm right or wrong personally on this one. I mean, I don't really care one way or the other in most videos. But I'm not very strong in my belief. So if you disagree with me, too cool. Fine. I really, it's okay. It is. But look, I think Lobo's got enough going for him that he could probably one up the Cartoon Cat in some way. But that's just my opinion, like I said. Until then, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.